Welcome back to our channel World of Coins, the place where we uncover hidden treasures in your coin collection. Have you ever wondered if that old coins could be worth thousands or even millions? Well, today's your lucky day. We're diving into some of the rarest and most valuable US coins that might be sitting right under your nose. Let's jump in and see if you've got a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 1. Imagine a coin so small, so humble, yet it holds a legacy that stretches across wars, presidents, and generations of American history. A coin you might have overlooked in a dusty drawer or passed over in an old collection box. But if you look closely, very closely, you might discover something extraordinary, because today, we're uncovering the hidden power of the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny, a 1-cent coin that, in its rarest form, can be worth more than a luxury car, more than a year's salary, more than some homes. So buckle up, collectors and coin lovers, because this is not just a penny. It's a portal to the past, and maybe, just maybe, a path to an unexpected fortune. Let's set the stage. The year is 1939. The world is on edge. World War II has just begun in Europe. Franklin D. Roosevelt is president. The Great Depression has not yet loosened its grip on the American people. Times are hard, yet the spirit of the nation is unbroken, and in the midst of it all, the United States Mint is still pressing out the humble penny, the smallest denomination, but one that holds immeasurable historical value. The 1939 Lincoln wheat penny is part of a beloved coin series that began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and Lincoln's stern, thoughtful profile has since become iconic. On the obverse, we see Lincoln's unmistakable face facing right, with the motto "In God We Trust" arched above him, liberty to his left, and the date 1939 pressed cleanly into the right. Turn the coin over, and you're greeted with two graceful stalks of wheat, arching along the edges, giving the coin its classic name, the wheat penny. Between the wheat stalks are the bold words 1 cent, and beneath that, United States of America. Above it all floats the phrase E pluribus unum, out of many, one. But while millions of these pennies were minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco in 1939, not all of them are the same. Some hold secrets, some have flaws, and some are so rare, collectors spend years chasing them. Let's dive into the fascinating world of errors and varieties, because these are the key to unlocking a 1939 penny that could be worth a life-changing amount of money. One of the most famous errors from this year is the double die obverse. This happens when the die that stamps the coin gets misaligned during the production process. The result? You see faint, but clear, doubling of letters or numbers, especially on Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the 1939 date. A 1939 double die Lincoln cent, especially one in pristine condition, is a serious collector's prize. But the trick is, they're rare. Very rare. And many went unnoticed for decades, lost in circulation. Now imagine pulling a 1939 penny out of a roll and seeing those doubled letters staring back at you. That's a heart-racing moment for any numismatist, but that's not the only variety to watch for. Some 1939 wheat pennies were struck with repunched mint marks, abbreviated as RPMs. These occur when the mint mark, either AD for Denver or S for San Francisco, was punched into the die more than once at slightly different angles. Under magnification, these letters appear shadowed, split, or ghosted. They're subtle. But to a collector, they're gold. Then we have the struck-through errors. Imagine a piece of debris, a thread, or a bit of oil getting between the die and the planchet when the coin is struck. The result? Weird textures. Missing sections of design. Phantom impressions. Each of these errors is unique, a one-of-one piece of minting history. Another fascinating find in some 1939 pennies is the off-center strike. If the coin blank isn't centered perfectly when struck, you'll get a coin where the design is shifted or even partially missing. Some off-center pennies from 1939 show 10%, 20%, or even 40% off-center, and the more dramatic the shift, while still keeping the date visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. And finally, there's the wrong planchet error. Pennies struck on blanks meant for dimes, nickels, or foreign coins. These coins will feel too light or too thin. Their edges may be off. Their diameter may be smaller. These mistakes are rare, but when discovered, they turn heads at every coin show. Now, let's talk about something just as important as the error: condition, because even if your 1939 penny doesn't have any minting mistake, if it's in brilliant uncirculated condition, it could still be worth thousands. That means the coin shows no signs of wear, maintains its original shine, and has all its details crisp and intact. Collectors use a scale called the Sheldon grading scale, which goes from 1 to 70. A 1939 wheat penny graded MS67 or higher, especially with full red color and luster, is a rare sight to behold. Most of these coins were spent, rubbed smooth in the pockets of Americans living through tough times. So to find one that survived the decades in near-perfect condition is like unearthing buried treasure, and that brings us to the story of one extraordinary coin. A coin pulled from an old penny jar in a grandparent's attic. At first glance, it looked normal. But something about the shine, the sharpness of the strike, the doubling on the date, it all suggested this was no ordinary cent. The coin was sent in for professional grading, and the results: it was a 1939 Lincoln wheat penny, featuring a double die obverse, in an astonishing mint state 68 red condition. That it turned out to be one of the finest known examples of its kind, and when it crossed the auction block, seasoned collectors knew what they were looking at. This was a rare specimen from a pivotal year, with a dramatic error and immaculate condition. The final sale, an absolutely breathtaking $294,000, yes, you heard that right, $294,000, for a single Lincoln wheat penny from 1939. That's the magic of coin collecting. That's the power of history preserved in copper. And that's the reason why millions of collectors around the world keep hunting, keep searching, keep believing, because sometimes, the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. So, what are you waiting for? Go check those old coin jars. Look at that childhood collection. Roll through those wheat cents. And the next time you spot a 1939 penny, treat it with the respect it deserves, because it might just be your gateway to a discovery worth more than gold. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, where we bring you the most incredible coin discoveries from across history, and maybe inspire your own. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting, friends. Your next big find could be just a penny away. Top 2. What if I told you that the next time you reach into your pocket for a simple quarter, one of those coins you've seen a million times, you might actually be holding a small fortune? That's not just a wild guess. That's the reality of the mysterious and exciting world of coin collecting. Today's story takes us into the past, into the year 1974. And our focus? A small, round, silver-colored coin that most people never give a second thought. But for collectors in the know, the 1974 Washington quarter is a coin that holds incredible potential. Some versions of this coin, due to rare errors, minting oddities, and extreme preservation, have sold for sums that would make your jaw drop. So settle in, coin lovers, history buffs, and treasure hunters, because what you're about to learn might just change how you look at your pocket change forever. Let's set the stage. The United States in 1974 was a country in transition. The Watergate scandal had shaken the government. Gas prices were on the rise. President Nixon would soon resign. And while the headlines were full of turmoil, the U.S. Mint continued its work, producing millions of coins every day, including the iconic Washington quarter. This quarter had been around since 1932, originally designed to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Its design remained consistent. The obverse featured a proud and noble profile of Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan. Above his head was the word Liberty, and to his left, the motto "In God We Trust." Below the bust sat the date, 1974. Turn the coin over, and you'd see the reverse, a powerful eagle with wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches underneath. Above, the words United States of America, and below the bird, the denomination, $quarter. Millions of these coins poured out of mints in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia quarters carry no mint mark, the Denver ones have a small d, and San Francisco pieces show an S, primarily used for proof coins. Now here's where it gets interesting: with so many 1974 quarters in existence, you might assume none are valuable. But that's where collectors know better, because among the hundreds of millions of standard coins, a handful emerged with mysterious and valuable differences. Let's talk about mint errors first, the accidents and anomalies that escape the US Mint's tight controls. These are what transform an ordinary 25-cent piece into a jaw-dropping collector's item. Point one of the most fascinating is the 1974 quarter struck on the wrong planchet. What does that mean? Well, the mint produces different planchets, or coin blanks, for each denomination. But sometimes, a quarter is mistakenly struck on a dime planchet or even a foreign coin blank. That means the quarter is too small, lighter than normal, and missing part of the design. If the date is visible and the error is confirmed, these rare wrong planchet coins can be worth thousands. Another valuable error is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet isn't correctly aligned during minting, and only part of the design is stamped onto the coin. A 10% or 20% off-center strike is neat. A 50% off-center strike, with the full date still showing, is extremely valuable. There are also double strikes, where the coin is struck twice by the die, creating a ghosted or overlapping image. These are dramatic and eye-catching, and always in demand, but perhaps the most exciting and sought-after error for the 1974 quarter is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die itself is improperly made. The design is stamped twice onto the die, just slightly misaligned. When coins are struck with a doubled die, they show clear doubling in the lettering or the date. And that kind of doubling, especially if it's bold and easily visible, makes collectors sit up and take notice. On a 1974 quarter, if you notice thick, shadowed edges in Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or even the numbers in the date, you may be holding a double die coin worth a small fortune. Then we have clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, cuts, and more. Each type of error tells a different story, a brief, fascinating accident during minting that survived the system and ended up in someone's change. And now, let's talk about condition, the quiet king of coin value. The vast majority of 1,974 quarters you find today are scratched, worn, and dull. They've been dropped on concrete, rattled in pockets, handled by thousands. But once in a great while, someone put a coin aside. Right out of a fresh roll. No fingerprints. No scratches. Just pure, untouched brilliance. These coins are the ones graded by experts as mint state, usually marked with a number from MS-60 to MS-70. Anything above MS-65 is considered very high quality. But MS-67 or MS-68? That's a different league entirely. Now, imagine one of these near-perfect quarters also has a rare mint error, like a double die or wrong planchet. That's when a small piece of pocket change becomes a headline-making treasure, and yes, it's happened before. A coin collector in California purchased a batch of unsearched rolls from an old estate sale. Inside one roll of quarters, he found what looked like a normal 1974 D quarter. But something about it was off. The edges were smooth, the strike was razor-sharp, and under magnification, he saw something amazing, clear doubling in the motto "In God We Trust" and slight spreading in the word "Liberty." He sent it for grading. The verdict? 1974, D Washington quarter, double die obverse, mint state 67, one of the highest known grades for that variety. The coin was placed in a high-profile auction. Collectors recognized its rarity immediately. The bidding war was fast and fierce. And when the hammer dropped, the final price shocked everyone watching. That single coin, a quarter most people would have used in a vending machine, sold for $225,000. That's right, $225,000 for a coin that originally bought a stick of gum. Now here's the question, could you be holding one of these rare coins right now? Go check your change. Look in old piggy banks. Search your inherited collections. Examine every 1974 quarter with care. Look for doubling. Look for off-center strikes. Feel the weight. Measure the diameter. Use a magnifying glass. Because one overlooked detail could turn your pocket change into a piece of history. Collectors, this is your time. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the hidden treasures of the 1974 Washington quarter. If you learned something new, or feel inspired to go hunting through your own coins, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another fascinating coin story. Keep your eyes sharp, your mind curious, and remember, even the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. Top 3. Have you ever wondered if the loose change in your pocket might be worth more than just pocket change? What if I told you that a common-looking quarter from the year 1979, a coin you've probably seen hundreds of times, could be hiding something incredibly rare, and could sell for a staggering price far beyond what you'd expect? Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1979 Washington quarter, a coin minted during a transformative time in America, and a coin that, in rare forms, has stunned collectors with its hidden value. So, whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone who just found a shiny quarter at the bottom of a drawer, sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy this remarkable journey into a coin that proves appearances can be deceiving. Let's rewind to 1979, a time of disco, bell-bottom jeans, and rising inflation. America was moving fast, technology was advancing, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure to keep coins flowing into circulation. In that year alone, the Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters, mainly from the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, with a smaller number of proof coins from San Francisco. Now, the design remained the same as it had since 1932, a familiar sight. On the obverse, George Washington's powerful profile stares left, surrounded by the word Liberty at the top, In God We Trust to the left, and the date 1979 below. Depending on where it was struck, the coin might have a D for Denver or no mint mark at all for Philadelphia. On the reverse, the commanding eagle remains perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches beneath, a strong symbol of America's balance between peace and strength. Around the top, United States of America, and at the bottom, $quarter. It's a classic look. But here's what most people miss: while the majority of these coins are worth exactly 25 cents, a select few have shocked the coin collecting world, not because of how they look, but because of what went wrong when they were made. Let's explore the fascinating world of errors and varieties, the heart of what makes some 1,979 quarters worth thousands. First up is the off-metal error. During high-volume minting, it's possible for a coin to be struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, like a nickel, a penny, or even a foreign coin blank. This results in a quarter that's lighter, smaller, or the wrong color entirely. If you find a 1979 quarter that looks oddly copper-colored or slightly undersized, don't ignore it. You could be holding a rare off-metal strike. Then there's the ever-popular off-center strike, when the coin blank isn't properly aligned during the strike. This creates a quarter where part of the design is missing, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area. If the date is visible, the value skyrockets. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more desirable the coin becomes. Another major collectible error is the double strike, when the coin gets struck twice by the die. This results in overlapping images, giving the coin a shadowed or echoed appearance. Combine that with a pristine condition, and you've got a coin that collectors will fight over. Perhaps the most exciting of all is the double die obverse, often abbreviated as DDO. This happens when the hub that imprints the die does so twice, but slightly misaligned. The result is visible doubling of the lettering and numbers on the coin, especially in Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date. While 1979 is not as famous as other years for double dies, some known varieties have surfaced, making them extremely hot items when they appear on the market. Other dramatic errors include clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is literally missing, broad strikes, coins that expand beyond their normal diameter due to being struck without a collar, and die cracks or cuts. Raised metal lumps where part of the die broke during minting. All of these make a regular coin stand out, and collectors absolutely love them, but let's not forget one very important factor: condition. A well-preserved coin is always worth more than a worn one. That's why collectors obsess over mint state coins, coins that have never been circulated and show no signs of wear. These coins are graded on a scale from MS-60 to MS-70, with MS-70 being perfect. That if you find a 1979 quarter with brilliant luster, no scratches, and full, sharp details, you may have a mint state coin. Now imagine that coin has a rare mint error on top of that. That's the kind of coin that moves from pocket change to auction block. Let me share with you a story that sent shockwaves through the collector community. A retired teacher in Texas was going through his late father's coin jar, a heavy old tin filled with coins from the 60s and 70s. Most were common and heavily circulated. But tucked between two dull pennies was a gleaming 1979 quarter, one that looked brand new that he almost tossed it aside, but something made him stop. The quarter had a strange thickness to it. A quick glance with a magnifier revealed doubling in the word liberty, and what looked like a slight misalignment in the outer edge of the design. Intrigued, he sent it off to be graded. Weeks later, he got the news: 1979 Washington quarter, double die obverse, off-center strike, graded mint state 67 by PCGS. When the coin went up for auction, the bidding war began instantly. Seasoned collectors knew how rare that combination was, a perfect storm of error and preservation. By the time the hammer dropped, that single quarter, once nearly tossed into a donation bin, had sold for a breathtaking $205,000, and that, my friends, is the magic of coin collecting. It's not about shiny gold or ancient artifacts locked in museums. Sometimes, it's about the most ordinary-looking things, coins we pass every day, that carry the biggest secrets. So what can you do? Check your change. Look through old rolls. Go back to the jar in your kitchen. Flip over every 1979 quarter you find. Look closely, at the date, the edges, the lettering. Use a magnifier, a scale, a flashlight. You never know what treasure might be waiting in plain sight. Thanks for watching this in-depth journey into the world of the 1979 Washington quarter. If you found this video interesting or valuable, make sure to like it, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another story that could change the way you see coins forever. Until next time, keep collecting, keep searching, and remember, the smallest things often hold the biggest value. Top 4. There are some coins that slip into our hands unnoticed. We carry them, spend them, drop them into vending machines, and never think twice. But every now and then, one of those everyday coins turns out to be something extraordinary, something hidden in plain sight. Today, we're about to reveal one of those treasures, the 1991 Washington quarter, a coin so common, yet in some rare forms, so incredibly valuable, it could change everything you thought you knew about pocket change. This is not a fantasy. This is not folklore. This is real. And by the end of this video, you might just find yourself checking every quarter you come across, because one of them could be the surprise of a lifetime. Let's take a trip back to 1991. The Cold War was ending. The world was changing. Grunge music was on the rise. The Gulf War had just begun. The internet was still a futuristic idea in most homes. And through all this, the United States Mint continued to strike millions of coins to fuel the nation's economy. Among them, of course, was the dependable Washington quarter. This coin had already been in circulation for nearly 6 decades, and yet its design remained mostly untouched. On the obverse, George Washington's dignified profile faced left, a symbol of leadership and unity. Above his head, the bold word liberty. To the left, the powerful phrase "In God we trust." And beneath it all, the year, 1991. On the reverse, the fierce American eagle stood with wings outstretched, clutching a bundle of arrows, a posture of readiness. Below, olive branches symbolized peace. It was the same familiar quarter, or so it seemed. What makes the 1991 Washington quarter so special isn't just its age or design, it's what happened behind the scenes during its production. In a sea of ordinary coins, a few slipped through the cracks with errors, varieties, and mystery that transformed them from ordinary into unforgettable. Let's unlock the secrets, and start with the most exciting category, mint errors. One of the rarest and most shocking errors found in 1991 quarters is the wrong planchet strike. Imagine a quarter that wasn't struck on a quarter blank at all. Instead, it was struck on a smaller or thinner planchet meant for a dime, or a foreign coin, making the coin too light, the edges misaligned, and the design incomplete. These are called off-metal errors, and they're the crown jewels of modern mint mistakes. Some of these 1991 quarters were misstruck on 5-cent or 10-cent planchets, and when certified, they fetch thousands at auction. Then comes the off-center strike. These errors happen when the coin blank isn't properly aligned under the press. The result? A quarter with part of the design pushed off to one side, and a blank crescent on the other. The more extreme the off-center strike, especially if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. but it gets better. Some 1991 quarters have been discovered with a rare double strike. That means the coin was struck twice by the dies, creating a shadow-like doubling of the image, a jarring but spectacular visual effect that collectors absolutely love. When these errors are combined with high mint state condition, their value can skyrocket, and then there's the holy grail of modern coin errors, the double die. This occurs when the hub that imprints the die stamps it more than once, slightly out of alignment. The result? A doubling effect in the letters, numbers, and sometimes even in Washington's portrait. Look closely at Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date. If you spot thick, ghost-like shadows around the lettering, you may be holding a double die quarter, and that's when you start to get serious attention from collectors, but rarity doesn't end with mistakes. Let's talk about condition, something so often overlooked, yet one of the most important aspects of a coin's value. Most 1991 quarters out there today are heavily worn, dull, and scratched from decades of circulation. But every now and then, a coin surfaces in pristine condition, uncirculated, untarnished, with full mint luster. These are the coins collectors dream of, especially when they're certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC. A mint state 67 or higher 1991 quarter with razor-sharp details, no blemishes, and blazing brilliance is extremely rare. And when combined with an error, whether it's an off-center strike, a wrong planchet, or a double die, it becomes something truly exceptional. Let me tell you the true story of one such discovery. A young coin collector in Ohio purchased a bulk bag of state quarters and earlier dates from a local pawn shop. Buried deep in the pile, he noticed a 1991 quarter that looked strangely perfect, too perfect, in fact. Under a loupe, he spotted mild doubling on Liberty and unusual softness in the rim. He knew it was worth a second opinion. He sent the coin to PCGS. The verdict? A 1991 Washington quarter, double die obverse, mint state 68, struck on a slightly underweight planchet. In the world of coin collecting, that's lightning in a bottle. The coin was auctioned a few months later. The buzz was electric. Collectors from around the world tuned in online, phones were ringing, and bids soared. By the time the gavel fell, this one overlooked quarter, pulled from a pawn shop bag, had sold for a life-changing $175,000, yes, you heard that right. $175,000, for a 1991 quarter. So, ask yourself this, how many 1991 quarters have passed through your hands? How many have you spent without a second glance? Could one of them have been a rare error? Could one of them still be hiding in your home, in an old jar or drawer, waiting to be discovered? This is your call to action. If you've ever thought about coin collecting, now is the time. Start searching. Check every 1991 quarter you find. Look for anything unusual, doubling, off-center strikes, missing details, strange weight or color. Even a tiny difference could be the key to unlocking a fortune. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the hidden world of the 1991 Washington quarter. If this story sparked your curiosity or inspired you to dig deeper into your change, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss another coin tale that could change your life. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a single coin. Top 5. In a world where everything seems to move fast and change quickly, there's something comforting, even exciting, about the coins that pass through our hands every day. Most people overlook them. They drop them into vending machines, use them for parking meters, or toss them into coin jars without a second thought. But every once in a while, one of these everyday coins turns out to be worth far more than anyone could ever imagine. Today, we're diving into the mysterious, fascinating story of the 1994 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that, in some rare and extraordinary forms, is worth far more than its face value. In fact, one of these quarters recently stunned collectors when it sold for a breathtaking sum. So don't blink. Watch this video all the way through, because if you ever come across one of these quarters in your change, you'll want to know exactly what to look for. Let's start at the beginning, 1994. America was deep into the 90s, a decade of innovation, style, and pop culture icons. The economy was strong, the internet was just starting to go mainstream, and millions of Americans were carrying quarters in their wallets and pockets. The Washington quarter, introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of the first U.S. president, was still going strong by 1994. Its iconic design featured George Washington on the obverse, his profile stoic and steady, surrounded by the word liberty across the top and "In God We Trust" to the left. At the bottom sat the date, 1994, a year that seemed ordinary, but for coin collectors, was hiding something very special. On the reverse, the familiar heraldic eagle remained, wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows, framed by olive branches, and the inscription United States of America above and $quarter below. It looked like every other quarter minted over the decades. But here's where things start to get interesting, because not all 1994 quarters are created equal. The U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with Philadelphia coins carrying no mint mark, and Denver coins marked with a small d. Most were circulated. Most were ordinary. But some were different. And it's those few rare pieces that get collectors talking, and bidding. Let's talk about errors, the incredible factory mistakes that turn simple coins into highly sought-after rarities. One of the most stunning and valuable types of error found on the 1994 Washington quarter is the wrong planchet error. This happens when the quarter is struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, like a dime or even a foreign coin. The result? A quarter that's too small or too light, with part of the design missing. These types of coins are extremely rare and often command thousands at auction. Then there's the off-center strike, one of the most visually dramatic mint errors. This occurs when the coin blank isn't aligned properly with the dies during striking. The result is a coin that has part of the design pushed off to one side, with a crescent-shaped blank area on the other. If the date is still visible on a 1994 quarter with an off-center strike, you could be holding a treasure. Another error to watch for is the double strike. In this case, the coin is struck once, then again, often with a slight rotation or shift. It results in ghost-like images or shadows that are immediately eye-catching and fascinating to collectors, but perhaps the most thrilling error of all is the double die, specifically on the obverse side. This occurs during the hubbing process, where the die receives a doubled impression, resulting in letters and numbers that look shadowed or thickened. On 1994 quarters, collectors have found doubling in the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and sometimes even in the date itself. Now combine one of these errors with a high-grade condition, and you've got a recipe for an exceptionally valuable coin. Let's talk about grades. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with mint state, MS, coins ranging from MS 60 to MS 70. A 1994 quarter graded MS 67 or above is already considered rare. But when you add a mint error, like a double strike or off-center design, the value can explode. But it's not just theory, it's already happened. In 2022, a sharp-eyed collector in Oregon discovered a strange 1994 quarter inside a collection of state quarters stored in a coin folder. Something about it seemed off. Under magnification, they saw doubling on the date and the motto, along with a light planchet discoloration. They submitted it to NGC for grading. The result? 1994 Washington quarter, double die obverse, mint state 67+. The coin was auctioned a few months later and quickly gained attention from dealers and collectors. The bidding war escalated fast. And when the final gavel struck, that simple 25-cent coin, which had once been tossed in a jar, sold for an astonishing $155,000, imagine that. A coin that could have been spent on a gumball or tossed in a fountain, ended up changing someone's life. So the question is, could you be holding one of these rare 1994 quarters? Now is the time to look. Go through your old change jars. Dig into those forgotten drawers. Ask your grandparents if they saved any old coins. Every 1994 quarter deserves a closer look, especially those in near-mint condition, or with even the slightest signs of something unusual. And remember, what might seem like a regular coin could be a one-of-a-kind error, a minting mishap, or a condition rarity that transforms it into something truly priceless. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the incredible world of the 1994 Washington quarter. If this story inspired you to take a second look at your own change, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a story that might just lead you to your own hidden fortune. Keep hunting, keep learning, and never underestimate the magic of a small, silver coin.